Disclaimer. Before I begin, I do want to inform you that I go hard and real with what I'm about to say on this episode. If you cannot handle my truth, sense of humor, sarcasm, and explicit language, then I advise you to not listen. This episode will contain words that may be triggering and may have graphic details, so listen per your discretion. If you can handle what I'm about to say, without further ado, sit back and enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of yours truly. It is I, your one and only host, Druelee, of course. Hi, you guys. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I last posted my episode. And if you guys haven't listened to my mini episode that I have posted previously to this one, please take a listen. It will give you guys an update of what I've been so far. But other than that, let's get right into this episode. As I look back into my life or my years in my 20s, there are certain things that I wished I could have done better, could have done a lot more, or could have done a lot less. But even though I am past my 20s, I have no regrets with the things that have happened in my life. And I do believe that it happens for a reason. And what I have accepted and have taken in is that I have no regrets. I wish I could have done things differently, but you know what? It's okay. And that is why for this episode, it's meant for those who just turned 20, who is currently living in their 20s. Although my advice and my experiences may not be what you would want to listen to or want to grasp in your life, but I do believe that some of these things that I've experienced in my 20s may change you or may be good for you. And if not, you can always discard, okay? But regardless of that, I'm just going to get straight to it. The first thing that I've learned in my 20s is that the first and foremost is don't get married. So for those who have been listening to my podcast since the beginning, the reason why I created this podcast is because of my experience in marriage and the aftermath of it. I'm not saying that don't get married ever. My thing is that when you're in your 20s, when you freshly got out of college, if you did happen to go to college, or you just graduated from high school and you are entering your 20s, right? You don't have to rush yourself to get married. I believe that when you're in your 20s, you should use that decade to figure yourself out and to learn things about yourself, to explore life. Ask yourself, do you want to go to college? Do you want to date as many people? Do you want to travel? Like, what do you want to do in your life? And I feel like in today's society, we are believed to, go to school, go to college, graduate, get a good paying job, and then get married, right? That's what everybody is supposed to, quote unquote, do, right? But what if I told you guys that you guys don't have to get married that early? I spent my 20s, the entire decade, of being in a relationship, doing life, and getting married. I started dating Lost Boy. He was my one and only relationship. So I started dating him when I was 20. And then, of course, got married and then got divorced in my 30s. So it was a 10-year relationship from dating to marriage and now currently divorced and being single, right? So what I wish I could have done in my 20s was not to rush myself and not to believe in society, not to, you could say, follow what everyone was doing. Just because your friends are getting married, your family is getting married, everyone around you is posting and say all these things. Oh, you should get married. When are you gonna, get married? When are you gonna settle down? Are you meeting somebody or are you in a relationship? What if I told you guys that you guys don't have to do that? What if I told you guys that you can still live up your life, explore, go to bars, go to clubs, go to events, go to concerts, do all these things. I'm not saying that being married is holding you back. it all depends on the partner that you choose and how much you are ingrained in your culture and your religious belief. Because in my experience, me growing up in a Hmong household, being a Hmong woman, there's a lot of things that was taught, especially for a Hmong woman, is to, of course, go to school, get educated, get a job, and then get married, and then have kids and all that stuff. At the same time, being a Hmong wife or a Hmong woman, you're supposed to cater to your husband, cook, clean, do all these things, have sex with him. And if he cheats or if he does things that he doesn't like, then it's your fault. And same with like religion as well too. And again, I can do like a separate episode on these things, but just kind of like go on the surface of those topics here is that don't allow your culture and your religious belief to tell you to get married because you have to. And that's not the only way to be successful. Just because you are married, you have kids, you have a husband or a wife, whatever, that means that you're good in life. No, there's more to life than just that. And like I said, I'm not bashing on people getting married or being in a marriage. I've done it before, but my thing is that when you're in your 20s, use that time to, enjoy life a bit. You've done years of school. Don't you want to live it up? Live it up, enjoy life. And like I said, if you are with a good partner who understands the concept of you guys being married at the same time, you as an individual having your own life, then great, that will work for you. But if you are someone who is controlling, who is ingrained in culture and religious, then it's going to be a lot difficult just because you as a woman, I'm talking to us women, you have to hold yourself in a way where, of course, you have to cater to your husband and your family, and that's it. Like, you don't matter. This can be a debate, whatever it is, but I'm just talking based on my experience. It all goes down to your partner, their lifestyle, and also you yourself as an individual as well too. But marriage shouldn't be the number one thing that you need to focus on when you're in your 20s. Focus on other things. And I feel like when you do get married, most of the time you do end up losing yourself. Of course, you have your husband, you have to cater to him, and then you have to birth babies and take care of your kids, and then you end up losing your identity. I haven't experienced that, but I know people who got married, they lost themselves because they're working so hard on the relationship. And then when they have kids, then they don't know who they are, or everything is all about them kids, and that's it. I mean, there are good things and bad things about that. I mean, I have no right to say anything, but I hear it from other women, and I can understand, and I do empathize with them too, because it's hard when you are with someone who doesn't understand marriage, partnership, who doesn't know how to create boundaries, doesn't take accountability, doesn't do anything that will help in the relationship, then it's not going to work until you can understand what marriage is. And some people say that you have to get married in order you to understand. No, because you can still research about these things, If you have mentors or people who you've seen growing up being successful in marriage, they know the ins and out of it, they can teach you a thing or two about marriage. And you don't have to experience it to know it. Maybe you do need to experience it to know it. But coming from me, the number one person that actually experienced marriage, I'm telling you guys, okay? For those who are in your 20s, marriage is not all that. Marriage is work. But that shouldn't be the first thing in your life when you turn 20 or when you are in your 20s. That's the first and foremost thing. Don't get married when you're in your 20s. Use that for other things, and I will get into that as I go along with this episode. Going on to the next one. Another thing that I learned in my 20s is that when you're in your 20s, date as many people as you need to. Now, for me, in my experience, Lost Boy was my only relationship. He was the only guy that I actually dated. And if I were to go back, I wish I could have dated other guys. I don't know how the dating scene was back in those days, because as of now, the current dating, yeah, it's not all that okay. But y'all, I am experiencing it, okay, on a different level. But besides from that, I wish I could have dated other guys, got to know other guys. I am very open when it comes to dating guys. I don't stick to just my kind, or what I'm trying to say is my people. And so I'm very open-minded to that. I love meeting all sorts of people, different backgrounds, different race, different ethnicity background. I am open to that. If I were to go back to my 20s and not just settle to Lost Boy, I would have taken my chance and got to know other guys, gone on different dates. But because I'm not trying to blame it on religion or culture, but I do have to say, growing up in a Hmong family, my parents embedded in my head that if I were to have a boyfriend and supposedly got pregnant, then they will disown me. So my thinking was, I gotta be a good girl, I gotta stay in school, gotta get educated, get a degree, and don't have a boyfriend. And my mindset was that, being a Christian at that time, there was a lot of shame when it comes to losing your virginity or holding back on that until marriage. And so my thing was, okay, well, if that's the case, then, in order for me to not sin against God and to not make God mad at me, I should just not date anybody and just focus on school and get educated and be successful until that, then I will not date anybody. And so in my head, I was like, okay, that's the route that I'm going to take for now. So I haven't dated anybody, didn't have any interest. I was just trying to be a good girl. I wasn't trying to get my parents mad or God mad. And so they teach you these things to just save yourself, don't have sex, and wait until you get married before you have sex, of course, so being very naive and stupid. I waited all this time, and I do have to say that for those who just started dating or who is in their first relationship, don't expect that relationship to be your one and only relationship and then let's get married. I mean, hey, it might be successful, who knows? But at the same time, there's a lot when it comes to being in a relationship. Don't just say I do because you've been with this person for so long. He or she is the first person that you lost your virginity to. This person makes me feel comfortable, or this person goes to the same church as me, or this person has the same culture, similar religious values. Like, just because this person is your first does not mean he's gonna be your first forever. And it's okay to break up, move on, and find somebody else too if needed. And I'm not saying that some people, that's their first and they are with each other for the rest of their life. Good, kudos. But I do have to say, realistically, just because this person is your first, she's not going to be your forever. Because as you grow older, the way that you think and the things that you value will change. And if this person doesn't want to change to better themselves, or they're not willing to accept you and the changes that you are going through, it's not going to work. That's what I say. Don't just commit to one person just because they're giving you attention, or they are your first, or your first boyfriend, first in everything, or whatever. No, like, you shouldn't use that as a thing to brag to other people, or to just say that you only have one try and that was it. No, I say, in your 20s, use this time to, yes, know yourself, but also know who you are getting yourself into. Be open to meeting other people and be open to accepting that even though your first relationship didn't work, there's the next one. Yeah, because for me, like I was telling you guys, based on my experience, if I knew what I knew now, I would not have married Lost Boy. I would have just got myself into a different relationship, a very successful and meaningful relationship. But you know what? We all live and we learn. For those who are in your 20s, just date as many people as you need. When I say dating, just getting to know people. Now, if you want to date and hook up and all that stuff, go right ahead too. If that's what you believe and you don't believe in the Christian way where you're supposed to save yourself until marriage, whatever, then go do you. But I do have to say, be safe. Please consent always. And have a good time. Just have a good time. If that's what you want to do, go right ahead. I'm not judging you, because if I had a different upbringing, I would have pretty much did what I wanted to do. Okay. But hey, I'm trying to be a good girl. Okay, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be a good girl. Trying to be holy. half of the time. Okay. But yes, like I say, date as many people as you need, and have a good time, and don't just settle with one person just because they're your first for everything. No. Be okay to move on, get new experiences, get new relationship, and don't just settle for one person. The next thing that I've learned in my 20s is you don't have to go to college unless you need a degree in your career field. Now, with that, if you, let's say, for example, if you want to, say, be a doctor, be a surgeon or something like that, right? You need a degree for that. So if you know that you want to be a doctor, to be a surgeon, something that deals with a higher career field, and you know that you need a degree for it to get paid good money, then yes, definitely go to college. But if you're just going to college because you want to prove something for not only you but other people, or it was just because you have to go to college because that's what you're supposed to do in life after high school, right? Then you don't need to go to college. Nowadays, a lot of people are very successful without a college degree. Hey, if that works for you, it works for you. And if it doesn't, and you think that you need to go to college just to get that extra degree in there, to get a position in your work field, then go right ahead. For me, my experience, yes, I did go to college, got my bachelor's degrees, and majoring in youth studies. At that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought that I wanted to work with youth just because I was highly active in my church youth group, and I figured, hey, why not just major in youth studies so that I can potentially work with youth. And unfortunately, to this day, I am not even working with youth at all. I'm not even using my degree at all. It's just sitting there. But the good thing is that if I want to apply for a certain position in a company or whatever, right, and that has nothing to do with my degree, chances are they will hire me because I have a background already, an educational background, okay? But for those who don't have a higher educational background, then chances are some company will not hire you. That's from my experience. So, I mean, if you did go to college because you're supposed to go to college and you did graduate and all that, then just keep it. At least you went. For me, I only went to college because that was what we were supposed to do as a low income family, okay? I was the first one in my family to go to college and graduate. I pretty much just went just to prove to my family that at least some of the kids are successful. But in the end, it doesn't mean shit. Like, just because you have a degree or you have a college degree, you went to college, that doesn't mean that you're any better. But I feel like if you went to college and you actually use your degree, use what you learned in school to actually go into the work field, then yes, it is beneficial. But if you just went just for the heck of it and you don't know what the fuck you were doing, then don't go. College is not for everyone, but if you feel like it is, then sure, go right ahead, unless it's the degree or the work field that you need in order to work in that work field. But I do have no regrets of going to college, because without the college experience, I wouldn't have broadened my thinking when it comes to culture, race, ethnic backgrounds, other things that are happening in the world. And also, most importantly, meeting my girlfriends right now. I mean, we've been friends for how long? I don't know how long has it been, but it's been since college days. And we're still friends to this day, and I love them dearly. Even though we don't see each other every day, every week, every month, or whatever, right? Like, we can still make up time for it. And every time when we meet with each other, it's always good talks and whatnot. And so college can be a good experience for anyone. It could be your first time going out to parties. It was for me, because I didn't party when I was in high school, but I partied a lot during my college years. And you will eventually find friends, lifetime friends as well. There's just so many things that happens in college, but I have no regrets, although I wish I kind of, went into a degree that would have been beneficial for me to use in the work field. But you know what? It's okay. And like I mentioned, even if you went to college and you came out and the degree that you went in isn't what you are currently working, a lot of companies, they still accept you because you have a background. So for those who are graduating high school and are debating if they want to go to college or not, you don't have to. Just because you don't go doesn't mean that you're not successful or that you are seen to be like a good person or whatever, right? But college is not for everyone. And if you do want to go just because you want to be a doctor, then go right ahead. And if not, and you just want to be working on I don't know, like an average job, and you can move your way up, there are a lot of people that have been very successful when it comes to not having a college degree. So that's totally up to you. Another thing that I learned in my 20s that I wish I could have done a lot more on is traveling. I love to travel. Now that I'm in my 30s and I have more free time to do whatever the fuck I want to do, that's something that I will want to do in my 30s. Just travel. I do want to travel solo. And in my 20s, I didn't do much of that because I spent most of my 20s just going to school, going to work, of course, getting married and taking care of the bills and all that stuff. And I didn't really have much time or thinking in regards to traveling. And now that I can do that, I am going to take advantage of that. So for those who are in your 20s, and it's a good time for you to travel. You don't have anybody to come home to when it comes to, like, for example, if you have kids or you have your partner, right? There's certain things that you can't do because of their needs. And I know that some people, like, especially with those who have kids, they can't travel because their travel expenses are too expensive. They can't afford it. And who's going to watch their kids? Sometimes they just take their kids on their travel trips too, which is totally fine. But to have that, like, fun and exciting time is to travel by yourself or travel with a group of people, and you don't have to worry about figuring out who's going to watch your kids or who's going to take care of certain people and all that stuff. That's the perk of being single, and that's the perk of not getting married too soon, and just enjoying your life. You can up and leave, pack your bags and come back and repeat and do this all over again. So I wish I could have done a lot more traveling when I was in my 20s, but it's never too late. So for those who are in your 20s, take advantage of that because you're young. You're able to go through exciting things that a lot of older people can't do. So take advantage of that. Another thing that I learned in my 20s that I could have done more or done less or whatnot, but I actually did, was I lived on my own. I started doing that when I was 23. I think I was 23, and I love it. I moved out with my younger sister, and we decided to get an apartment, and the freedom of just doing your own thing, being able to buy your own groceries, cook your own meals, pay your bills, and be an adult, and not worrying about your parents bitching, complaining, and pretty much taking advantage of you. That was the good thing that I liked about it. And for those who are still living with your parents or like siblings or whatnot, kudos to you. Do what you gotta do. I know that it will help you save money and all that. But if you know that you can financially support yourself and live on your own, I highly suggest you to do that. Like, just experience it, especially if you are dating people and you want to do some like special stuff. What I'm talking about. It's nice to just come home and invite these people over. You have your own private space. You can walk around naked. You don't have to dress up for the date. Like for me, sometimes I just like to be naked and just have my robe on and call it a day, drink my wine, do some recording for my Yours Drueele's Facebook or YouTube and all that good stuff. Like, you don't have to dress up for anybody, or just, you have your own space, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And again, you can just come in and out. You don't have to wait for nobody. You don't have to be home at 9 o'clock. You could be home at like 2 in the morning if you want to, or sleep over at somebody else's house. Like, nobody's going to say anything to you. So you have the advantage of just your own alone time, having your own space. And I actually enjoyed that. But now that I'm by myself right now, I still love it. I think me and Arabelle, we enjoy ourselves. Sometimes when I come home, she's there to welcome me, and I'm happy about that already. Yeah, get yourself a pet and you're good to go. But more so, just experience it. I loved it. I love every bit of it. Moving out and living on your own, it's a must, especially when you're in your 20s. Get yourself a roommate if you want to, but yeah, live life. The next thing that I've learned in my 20s is that, especially when you are trying to, like, going back to college, right after you, let's say if you plan to go to college, right? College is a good way to navigate life, to network, and to eventually put your feet out of the door, right? Especially when you want to work in a work field that you have been majoring in. This, I will have to say, in order for you to get a job that you want, or to get paid a higher paying job, is to put yourself into the world, to socialize, to meet professionals. I will have to say that, during my time in college, I didn't really do that. Like, I worked in a part-time job, but it didn't pertain to my major. I wish that I worked a part-time job that pertains to my major, but I didn't do that. And of course, I was a very shy person too. I didn't really have a good social skills. So if I knew back then, and if I wanted to put myself out there, I would have done that, especially when it comes to use my degree and not just have it sit there and not use it at all. Then, I would have definitely just put myself into a space where I can meet other youth workers as well. But life happens, and that didn't work. But let's say that if you're the type of person who's into like art or music or anything that you have interest in, like, it doesn't matter if it's like work related or anything like that. It's just like for your interest. If you're into music, art, nails, video games, in order for you to know people or put yourself to where you want people to know who you are when it comes to those interests, you have to put yourself out there. And yes, you be a little bit shy, or you can be nervous, or you can be you can have like social anxiety, because I have that too. That's the first step to overcoming those things. And you have to push yourself, you have to challenge yourself to do the opposite. And the more that you keep doing that, the more it'll be easier for you. And sometimes we just want to be comfortable in where we're at. But if you want other people to know who you are, if you want to get a higher paying job, or your dream job, or if you want to be successful when it comes to like work wise, or your hobby, then you have to put yourself out into the world. And like I said, I was very shy in my 20s. I didn't really say much or do much. I wish I did, but it's never too late. You can still do that in your 30s, because I'm doing that right now. And I just say that start off in your 20s. That way you can build up that relationship years to come. When you have that relationship for 5 years, 10 years, then if you plan to apply for another job, or if your colleagues or the people that you meet, they might know somebody who has a position open. Eventually, if you apply, you might get it. You might get paid more, or people will know who you are. So if you're into all that stuff, you have to put yourself out into the world. So I say start now when you're in your 20s versus in your 30s. I mean, eventually you'll still create that long-term relationship, but I feel like it's best to know people earlier on, so that they know your work ethic, they know you personally, and they can vouch for you for anyone. So in your 20s, if you want to be successful in your work field, the interests, or you just want to be well known out there, you got to put yourself out into the world, socialize, network. And lastly, the things that I learned in my 20s. During the time when you're in your 20s, please take the time to learn about yourself. I know that it can be scary. Nowadays, people don't want to know who they are. It's something that they don't feel comfortable getting themselves into. They may be afraid, they don't like themselves, and they rather not learn about themselves. My advice to you, especially when you are in your 20s, is to learn as much about yourself. If there is any childhood traumas that you are going through, I advise you to work it out, check that out. If you need to seek a therapist or a counselor or do coaching, definitely do that. There's plenty of resources online that you can go to. Some of these resources are free, like YouTube, watching YouTube. You can buy books, you can even listen to podcasts, and they can help you mentally, even though it's not professional. But if you know you need to seek someone professionally, highly recommend you guys to do that. If you are self-aware and you know what you're doing, you know that, these are the things that I need to work on, please do. Because I believe that when you know who you are, you know your worth, your value, you can draw boundaries between you and other people, you can take accountability, and you're willing to grow and work on yourself, then when you do meet, let's say if you want to get yourself into a relationship, you would know who you are looking for, the do's and don'ts, the red flags, green flags, and you can avoid certain people that's not good for you. I do have to say that I didn't really take the time to know myself. And now that I am single, I am relearning myself. I'm actually going back to my old self way before I even got myself into that last relationship. And I'm falling in love with the old things that I used to love. I know that that's who I am. But at the same time, I'm also growing as a person. I'm changing for the better. Change for the better, not for the worse. Don't change for anybody but yourself. The only competition that you have is not between other people, but it's between yourself. If you're not doing better, why is that? Ask yourself that question. It's not about this person is doing this, I don't like it, or it's not about other people. It's about you. You got to make sure that you are doing the best that you can, and that you are doing things that are influence you in a positive way, not the negative way. That's all I am looking for in my life. And even if you gotta learn this in your 30s or 40s, I suggest in your 20s, figure yourself out. Use this time, like I said, to date as many people as you need to, travel, move out on your own, be able to go out there and put yourself out there and figure out what you like, what you don't like. And just learn yourself, enjoy your life. You have all this freedom to do that. That's why I say don't get married when you're in your 20s, because a lot of times marriage does stop you from becoming the best version of yourself, especially if you're with someone who doesn't understand that concept, or they don't understand that even if you are married to this person, you still have your own individual life. So that's why I'd say work on yourself, learn about yourself. That way, when you one day meet this person, you know if this person is good for you, whether or not this person is good to be married or not too. So those are the things that I've learned so far. They all tie to each other, but I think the main idea, or the main thing, or the main takeaway of what I learned in my 20s is basically you have to focus on you and your life first. Put yourself first. It's not being selfish. It's more of, if you are not okay, then you can't help other people. I always tell this to people: if I'm not okay financially, I'm not going to go out. If I'm not okay emotionally, then I can't sit here and listen to you talk about your emotions, because it's going to fucking trigger me. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if in your 20s or in your 30s and 40s, 50s, or so forth. I believe that you have to put yourself first. You have to be okay first. And if you start working on yourself in your 20s, even better. The sooner you work on yourself, the sooner you will figure out life. You will love yourself more. Things that you see will be so positive. You'll be grateful for everything. Just a lot of good things that will happen in your life when you put yourself first. So that's the main takeaway of this episode, is learning to just love yourself, knowing your worth, do things that will make you feel great, will make you have fun. Like, have fun, enjoy life. There's so many things that life can give you, and always accept all the good things. The bad things, take it as a lesson, learn from it, and then do better the next time. And that's what I learned in my 20s. Even though a lot of things didn't go the way that I planned, I have no regrets. And I believe things happen for a reason. And I don't have no regrets, like I mentioned. I am grateful that these things happened to me, because if these things didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And I'm still continuing to work on myself. I feel like this year is a year of finance and just hustling and chasing money, like chasing papers, okay? But overall, just enjoying my life, enjoying me being single. You know, for those who are in your 20s, I hope that the things that I've learned in my 20s will help you in any way. If not, you can always disregard it. Trust and believe me, I've been there, done it, and I just want everyone to be successful in their life. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, in your 30s, or 40s. I just want everyone to enjoy life, be grateful to be alive, enjoy the creation that God has created for everyone. Yeah, just live a happy, grateful life. That's all. Other than that, that is all I have for this episode. You can follow me on my Facebook. You can also go to my YouTube channel as well, where I will be uploading a lot of videos. I think I have like positive affirmations and motivational messages. I am also creating another video where I will be showcasing or doing videos that is in regards to writing letters to people in general. So I just have a lot of like quick videos that I want to post. So keep following. That way you guys are up to date on what I'm doing, and I will definitely be posting a lot more, because I know last month was just, it was a lot going on. But I might be doing some like spicy topics too, because you know me, like I have so much in my head that I want to share with you guys, and of course for entertainment purposes too. So if you're bored and you want to hear me talk about like some random taboo stuff, then your girl got you, okay? But on that note, thanks to everyone who has supported me thus far. Continue listening. And other than that, I'll see you guys on my next episode. Bye.